Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jared, and I am here going to go ahead and give you guys a tutorial on how to make Snake in Java. So this is going to be a little, I guess, a foundation of which you can build upon to learn more about Java, because this is kind of how I learned Java, by making things that are very small and very easy to understand. So I'm going to go ahead and do a step-by-step process and try to explain everything as in-depth as I can, and try to not mess any terms up. Hopefully I don't. It's kind of hard to do, talk out loud and not misinterpret anything. So hopefully I don't. I'll try not to. If I do, I will look back at this video and I will correct anything. So yeah. So let's begin. First you want to go on oracle.com, and here we have a downloads tab. It'll bring down another tab in which you want to click on Java for Developers. Then you want to click right above the Java Platform JDK text and click that little image. Then you want to accept the license agreement and download Java for whatever platform your computer is. Next, we're going to download Eclipse, which is going to be the tool that we are going to use to make our program, in which this case Snake. So we're going to click Downloads, Windows 64-bit, and or you could click other downloads, but I'm pretty sure it detects your computer here. Okay, come on, you can do it, you can do it. Okay, I don't know why that took so long. And then you want to click download here. If it's slow, you can come down here and choose your own mirror. You can test the few out to see how your speeds are. Okay, so I already have Eclipse open. I have a color theme plugin that you can do. You can click help install new software, and then you'll have to paste in the sites of the color themes, and it'll let you install everything. You could probably search for a tutorial for that elsewhere, because that's not what I'm focused on here. Okay, so first in our package explorer here, we're going to create our new Java project. We're going to call it Snake because that's what the project's going to be. This is going to be what all of our code's going to be in, and it kind of separates it from other Java projects. However, you can have them intertwined, but we don't have to get into that. It's a little bit more complicated stuff. Next, we can have a package. This package will kind of go along with other packages, but for this one, this is going to be our main package, and we're just going to name this Snake. And the next thing that we're going to do is create a class. So a class is what's going to contain all of our code. This is when the complicated stuff starts getting into it. So in here we have public, default, private, protected. These are all of our modifiers, and then we have abstract, final, and static. We can have all these together, but we can only have one of these guys. And we would probably keep it only public, because these ones, I'll get into them, but with variables instead. And then abstract or final. This means that this class can never be edited, and that everything inside of it can't be changed. So yeah, we're not gonna touch that. An abstract means everything that extends this class has to be implemented, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, so yeah, let's name it Snake, and we're gonna use capital letter. For the package, it's discouraged to use a capital letter for the first letter, but you can use them anywhere else. And you also can't use spaces, so yeah. So let's do that. And now we have Snake. So what's going on here is this tells us what package it is located in. If we did snake.blah blah blah or blah blah blah, it's going to give us an error here. And this is going to say move it to that, and it'll create the new package, or just change it back to Snake. So we're just going to change it back to Snake there. And the semicolon is to say that this is the end of the line, so don't go any further, and just read nothing else. Just stop it. And for these curly brackets here, this is telling us what is inside. This is what belongs to this class. In fact, we could create other classes inside classes, so like Snake 2. This is probably going to ask for us. No, okay, it's not. Never mind. But this isn't really needed. I suggest only using that for enums and stuff like that. Enums, I don't know actually how to say it. However, so the problem here is that if we press play, we can do a Java application. Selection does not contain a main type. We need to declare that this class is our main type. So this is that the class is public, this is a class, and this is our class name, and this is all the code that belongs to this class. So in that code, we're going to type public static void. So this is saying that this is a method that is accessed no matter, it doesn't have to be accessed through an instance. And an instance is a kind of like a variable that's already in the code and that it's already been set elsewise, and you're able to actually reach that instance, and it can't be null. So yeah, we'll get into that in a bit. And void is the return type. That means that it's not going to return anything. We'll even get into that further on. So after that, we're going to name our method, and this one actually has to be named main. So right after main, we put parentheses, because this is going to say what variables are needed to call this. And because Java is calling this, and it's going to be calling this with a string array. A string is pretty much letters and quotations like that. And we'll probably end up using that quite a bit. And then we're going to have to define what that string, this variable right here, is called. And there we go. So just before we actually get started, I'm going to tell you guys a few things. So string is this isn't actually an object, and this means this is an array of this object. So that means there's probably multiple of them. So if we did like args dot length, that'll actually tell us the length because it is an array. Anyways, there's things like int and stuff. These actually aren't objects, booleans. These are kind of return types, even though an object can be a return type, but they're kind of just native to the language to declare what's an int, what's a float, what's a double, what's a short, what's a long. If you want to know a whole list of these, you can actually just press Control Space, and it'll give you kind of not finished methods, I guess. So we got main. This is the thing that we just created actually. We got the return type, or just the basic private method, which you do need a return type. It wants you to declare what the return type is. The protected method, public static method, public void method. That means it does nothing, and there's an exception, or returns nothing rather. Abstract class, blah blah blah, and this is pretty much everything, like every kind of modifier you can use. So yeah, what we're gonna do though is we're actually gonna create a constructor for this class. So we can just press Control Space, and it'll give us public snake parentheses, because we don't require any arguments for this currently. We can add them. We can add int, level if we want to declare a level off the bat, boolean, true, false if we want to just give an example whether it is true or false, and stuff like that. So now what we need to do is we need to create a JFrame. A JFrame is going to be what our everything is going to be displayed in, or everything is going to be placed into, and it'll be visible to us. So we're going to do public JFrame, because that's the name of our object, JFrame. And we're going to leave it at that. So we actually have to declare the instance of this JFrame. So we can do JFrame equals new. So we're declaring that this JFrame is now equal to a new JFrame. JFrame. So there's two different, well, there's several different ways we can call a JFrame. We can either do just JFrame, or we can do JFrame and declare a title right off the bat. You can set it later by doing JFrame dot. This dot means that we are going into that instance and we're going to call something out of that instance, which static doesn't need you to do. If it is static, you can do JFrame. This is going to give us all kinds of integers, I can tell you that much. JFrame dot exit on close, because this is a static file. This can never be changed, and it is being able to be accessed from everywhere. So an example of using this is JFrame dot set default close operation, which means when this is closed, it's going to call this operation, and then we're going to do JFrame dot exit on close. So that means it exits the entire operation and is no longer running on your computer. So if you actually do want to change the title later on, you can do JFrame.set title. So that's kind of what I wanted to get to. However, we already have it here in these quotations because we defined the string. So we're just going to go ahead and create a visible JFrame. So we're going to have to set the visible, and we're going to have to set it to true. So this is asking for a Boolean. Boolean is a true or false variable. So in this case, we're going to have it be true because we want you to be able to see the JFrame. And we're also going to set the size of the JFrame. We're going to set it by, I guess, 800 by 800. That's not too big of a size. And if we want to, we can actually do, this is going to be a bit of a tricky thing, but public Toolkit, which is an object called Toolkit. And we're up here, we're going to do Toolkit plus new. Hold on, what was it? Yeah. So we're going to do Toolkit.getDefault Toolkit, which is a static method. So it's going to set this toolkit, and it's going to grab a method that returns a toolkit. So if you actually highlight over it, it'll show you what it returns right here, and it's returning toolkit dot, or actually we're not even going to do that, we're just going to do a semicolon there. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to do JFrame.set location, and this is going to be the x and y variable of the screen, and we're going to do toolkit dot, let me remove this bracket here, toolkit dot get screen resolution, or get screen dimension, get screen size. Alright, we can actually do something else here. We can do dimension dim equals toolkit dot get default toolkit dot get screen resolution, or get screen size. This would actually be a lot better. Dim dot width divided by 2 minus 400, or we can do JFrame dot width get width divided by 2. This should center it into the center of the screen, I believe. And then we're going to do the same for the height. So yeah, let's try this out. Let's see if we see a visible JFrame that's 800 by 800. I have a 1080p monitor, so it should display kind of in the center, hopefully. For everything's, oh, hold on. My apologies. We actually aren't calling this snake, so I did try to run it, and nothing happened, because we need to do new snake. We need to call it snake. If you want to actually be able to access snake from anywhere later, what I suggest you do is do public static snake. So we're making a static instance of snake, and we want to be able to access from everywhere. And to actually set a static variable, you have to do it within a static method, or else it'll give you an error. So snake equals new snake. Okay. So now this should work. Yeah. Okay, so it's in the center of our screen. It's 800 by 800. It looks kind of weird on the height, rather. I don't know, I feel like it should be more around there. So let's do 800 by 600. Or 500 apparently. We're gonna do window, show view, console, so that we can actually exit it properly, just in case anything happens. So it looks a bit strange still. So we're gonna do 800 by 600. And how about 800 by 700? There we go, that looks good. So yeah, here we go. We got our proper frame. So yeah, let's go ahead and create a new class, because we actually want to have a separate class to render everything in. Oh, not an interface, sorry. Oh no, everything's going wrong. So we're going to make this class called RenderPanel. I will get into that in a second, because we want this to extend another class called JPanel. This is another thing in Swing, which we're using. We're going to suppress that warning. And this is going to be where we have everything painted at. So we can do paint component here by doing control space and then typing that. It'll actually give you the method pre-made for you. So you're overriding a protected method. So that means it can only be accessed by anything in the same package. And it doesn't return anything. And super dot whatever means that it is calling the superclass, so which is in this case JPanel, and it is painting that component using graphics. It's it's calling the graphics here into there. So yeah. So we're gonna do g dot, I guess, fill rect. So we're gonna be calling fill rect. We're gonna be calling it location 00, and we want to do 800 by 700. So we're calling the method fill rectangle, and this is gonna be fill a rectangle on the screen, and it should be g dot set color dot black. It should be black. So the reason it should be black is because I am setting the color here. So I am calling from the color class the color black. Or we could create a new color, and then we can do 0, because this is going to be the integer code for, well, the decimal code for the color black. And yeah, or you can just access it the static way. Okay, so next we are going to make the panel in here just like we did the JFrame. So holding Control and Alt on most computers should let you clone the line that you have selected. So let's do RenderPanel. Okay. So now we're gonna do JFrame frame.set, or not set, JFrame.add. We're gonna add the component of the RenderPanel, and because RenderPanel is currently null, by default things are null. We can set it inside of here. So we can do RenderPanel equals new RenderPanel. So yeah, it's kind of a better way of doing things. It looks a little bit more neat on my side. You can set it before if you want. Doesn't matter. Anyways, so what we're gonna be doing now is making a timer, so that we can actually call this RenderPanel to repaint every tick. So we're gonna do public timer equals new timer, and we're gonna do 20 and false, because by default it wants that. So this will allow me to import the proper one. Nope, because that's what I always do. I always import the wrong one. I don't know why it said false. It's supposed to be 20 in action listener. My apologies. So for the action listener, we're gonna put this. Right now it's giving me an error because this class doesn't implement action listener yet. So when you implement anything, this is implementing an interface. So that's one of these. And within the interface, there are abstract methods in which this class must inherit. So we have to add the unimplemented method, and then here we can actually call RenderPanel.repaint. So that means it will repaint that every tick. Okay, so we can actually do something here. We can do public static color, or public static int cur color equals 0, and then we're going to do cur color, and then we're going to do cur color plus plus. So in the arithmetic or all the operations in Java, to add a single one you can do plus plus, to subtract a single one do minus minus, and if you want to add more than one you can do plus equals. Don't get confused for equals plus, because it will end up like that. So yeah, so plus equals 1 does the same as plus plus. However, it kind of just puts it back like that. So this means that it will create a new color each time, and it should start changing colors if we actually have everything work right. So what's going on here? It should work, right? Yeah. Let's print this real fast. I may have done something dumb. I probably have ret, and then it stops. Oh, okay. I apologize. I know what I did wrong. So we never actually started the timer. So that's what we have to do after everything's done and set. We want to do timer.start. I do that a lot. I kind of forget that step. So yeah, now it's doing the ret. So yeah. Let's do cur color back in there. And it should be filling the proper dimension. Oh no, it's wrong. Alright. Let's look into this. Let's do color dot black. That should be working, should it not? See, even though I have done this so many times, just sometimes it kind of just slips from my mind when I do something wrong. So let me actually review the code real fast. We're adding new render panel, and it is painting. Okay, let me try this first. Yeah, okay. So the problem here is that I was calling the super afterwards, and that means it was repainting it back to the white. So yeah, that was my mistake. I apologize. And now you can see the color changes. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it? It's gonna start from 0 every time it gets to like a little point that it wants to reset. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, we're gonna do we're gonna go into Google, and we're gonna Google hex color codes, and this guy right here is what I always use. Oh wow, they changed it. No, never mind. Okay, I was like, they changed it. Oh no. So yeah, we can either go color. We can either use these colors, or if you wanna get anything specific, let's say we want this color right here. We can copy this hex value right here. Open up the calculator. We're gonna do view programmer. We're gonna put in hex, and then we're going to do decimal. So let's copy that. And first, we're going to do public static color green equals new color, like that. So yeah, and then we're going to set this to green. So that way I don't have to recreate it every tick. We can just create it once and have it be done with. So yeah. So just to let you know, this variable will not be set until anything calls it, because it's already being set here. Once it's called, it will it'll be set, but if I try to get rid of this, I bet you that this will crash. Why? Because now it is null. Okay, so it just doesn't set it to anything. So that makes sense. And now that we restart it, we need to reboot it. Okay. So let's go ahead and actually make the snake. So, I guess because of all these classes actually having other things in them, let's create a new class called ant. Ant. Why ant? Snake. I have no idea. Or, snake entity. Or we can just do entity. Let's just do that. Actually, you know what? I want to keep it in this class. I feel like it'll be easier. So, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and put a little space between all these guys. Looks a bit nicer, in my opinion. And now we're going to create a new method. Or, not a new method, a new variable. And it's going to be an array list. This is a list of objects which we will define as point, and that's another Java thing. Snake parts. And we have to implement that. We can do that by doing Control-Shift-O, and that will allow us to have everything implemented. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're just going to do public void update snake, just so that we can have this away from all the other code. Actually, no, because we have this update guy right here, so that doesn't even matter. Alright. So, I'm going to actually move this up so I can have a little bit more room to look. Alright. So the way I want to do this is, to begin with, I want to do snake parts dot add, or come to think about it, I want to add a public static, no, not a public static, just a public int world, or just ticks. I don't know what I say. I want to do world ticks. So yeah. So we're gonna make a new integer. It's gonna be ticks, and it's gonna be equal to 0. So every tick, we wanna sure to increment that by 1. So ticks plus plus. And if ticks %2 equals 0, or %20 equals 0, that means every second. So let's do 10. So every half a second, it will call everything inside of here. So this is a if, and then we put in a boolean here. We can create a, I guess I'd say an algorithm type thing, which returns true if this is all correct. So now that means we want to add snake parts dot add, and we want to do, let's see, because it wants us to add a point, we have to make sure we know where the head of the tail is. So we're gonna do public point head. Right here I'm gonna do head equals new point. We're gonna do 0, 0. And then we're also gonna do public ints right here. I can do it. Direction. The main reason I was able to put a comma there is because it's just declaring that it's a public integer. So yeah, we don't have to say anything more about that. I'll put this guy at the top. Okay, so this is gonna be our head point of where the head of the snake is, and this is direction of what the snake is facing. So if I want to, I can do, this actually might help, static final int up equals 0, down equals 1, left equals 2, right equals 3. So this is saying that this is the direction of what this is, and it's final, so that will never change. It will never change. You'll usually put final things in all caps. So yeah. So if I want to, I can do this, and then do up. Or I want it to be down, actually. Because technically that'd say once it spawns, it dies, which isn't good. Okay, so now what we have to do is we actually have to create that new point, so we're doing it at 0, 0. And I'm trying to think of how the grid's gonna work. I'm guessing it'll just have everything scaled up. That might just work fine, I guess. We'll see. And this means we're gonna add a new point. Okay, so new point. And then we're gonna do 0. Actually, no, not new point. Well, not 0. X head dot y plus 1. The reason, or one thing we're gonna have to do here, if direction equals down, that's what that's gonna be. I'm gonna do up first, actually, because that's how it is up there. Left here, so that means we're subtracting 1, and right. And now we're adding 1. Okay, so that is that. And another point that we want to have is a cherry. Where is the cherry on the board? Well, first thing that we want to do is check if the head has actually collided with the cherry. Another thing we might want to do because of that is add score, so every time it does collide with the cherry, it will create a new one and increment the score as well. So if cherry is not equal to null, we also want to make sure that the head is not equal to null. This little exclamation mark makes it say that it is not equal to. Okay, so if the cherry is not equal to null, we want to place another one around the map randomly. If you think that I have kind of just stopped explaining things, I apologize. It's because I feel like by now you should kind of get the gist of how things work. That's why I am just thinking everything that would go on in my head out loud. So that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, we want to place the cherry randomly around the board. So the way we can do this to actually make it random is that we can do public random random. Up here we want to do random equals new random. Okay, have you set like there, and then we want to set cherry equals new random, and we're going to want to do width divided by 10. The main reason I want to do divided by 10 is because that's going to be our scale. So if we want this to be a final thing, we can do scale. So width divided by scale. We don't want scale to change at all. And then we want dim dot height. And if you do want scale to change, you always can, but divided by scale. Alright. So if head dot x equals cherry dot x, and then head dot y equals cherry dot y. I actually haven't explained this yet, but to make sure that it actually equals something, you won't do that. That means you're setting it. That means you're checking if it is equal to. So you can also do dot equals like that. So this, I think it would be the same as doing equals cherry, like that. So let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can make it look nice. Get location. I guess that means the same thing. Equals. Oh yeah, we'll just do equals here. We'll see if that works out well. Score plus plus cherry dot set location, and we want to do dim dot width by scale. Alright, so here we're actually going to make this guy public now. Oh, no. Doing things I don't want to do. Alright. Alright, there we go. Dim divided by... Alright, there we are. So this hopefully should set it in random place around the map. Now, what we're going to need to do is make sure everything renders. We'll tweak all this stuff. We're actually going to need to do a little bit more checks here. So if head.y -1 is greater than 0, then do that. Else, we're going to make a boolean, which remember, it's either something true or false. Else, so if this is not true, it will make the over true. And so that means right here I want to do over it's not equal to true. So yeah. Next up, we want to make sure that everything works like this properly. So we can do this, and we can even take out them because it's not really needed. So if x plus 1 is less than dim dot height divided by scale, it will put it up 1, else it'll be over. And then it's going to be the same, but for the x. So x plus 1 is under dim dot with divided by scale. Okay. So now this should all work. And we'll also have to paint our all of our what's it called? All of our snake parts and the head and everything. Alright. But to begin with, this actually is just going to make the snake just get longer and longer. It'll never remove the last part. So right here we want to do snake parts dot remove 0. So this means we're removing the last one or the first one added. And if it's not, we'll make sure to do that. So yeah. So for snake dot snake, let's just access this as its own variable. Snake equals snake dot snake. Greatest statement ever. For snake actually, we want to do point snake dot excuse me, sir. Why do you not let me? Which one do we want? We want snake parts. This will let me do it. I don't know why it wasn't. So we're creating a iteration of pretty much every object that is in that array list of snake parts. So this is saying for each one, run this until there's no more, and then run the next line of code in this method. So point is going to be the one that it currently is iterating through. So point or g.fill rect. We want to do point.x, point.y, and then we're gonna do times snake.scale times snake.scale, snake.scale, snake.scale. And then we want to make sure the semicolon's there. So yeah, that should make sure that everything is set properly. Then we want to do g.setColor, and we're going to do color.red. So let's see what we get here. We get nothing because it's probably keeping the snake away. But that means we actually need to make the head move, don't we? Right. So I want to say head equals snake parts dot snake parts dot get snake parts dot size -1 because it starts at 0 and that one's adding 1 for some reason. And what's up here? No, maybe I was wrong. I don't know, let's just do snake dot size. Or we want this to be after that. So let's try it again. Okay. Let's just do snake dot size then. Alright. So I'm going to take a quick break because I am kind of tired. So I'm going to end up sleeping and resume this in the morning. Okay, so I am back and come to look at this. It's actually kind of not really right. I'm doing this in completely the wrong way. So let me go ahead and fix this up actually. So what we are going to have to do, I just woke up, by the way, maybe 20 minutes ago. And I promised that I would get back to this as soon as I woke up. So, instead of having snake parts.add with all this, we want to take that out and do head equals new blah blah blah. Okay. And then, once this is done, we're gonna have to add a new integer, which will define the length of the tail. So up here, we're gonna need to do tail length. Okay, so terminate, and then let's do score equals plus equals 10, just so that we can do tail length plus plus, so it doesn't look so so random. I guess we can also add a speed thing later, but we'll wait to do that. And then next, what we have to do is we're gonna have to add so right here we're gonna have to do snake parts dot add, and then we want to add head. Want to add the head tail. I think I should be able to clone it. Yeah. Is that just okay? Because from the way that I look at things, I look at it as if it's pointing the thing into the memory that's in the memory. So I think that if I clone it, it should work out better. We'll see. We can even just do let's do that. Do point head dot x head dot y. If you see what I did there, actually, is I casted the object. The reason it gave me an error here is because I didn't cast it properly. It was just saying it was just an object, so I had to put in parentheses what I was casting it to. So it's saying this is what it actually is, but you have to know what it actually will become, because if you don't, you'll get a crash or you'll get some kind of exception, and things won't work properly. Alright, so I guess what we can actually try to do now is we want to make sure that we actually do paint the actual head of the snake. So what we can do is do point. Okay, so that's in the for loop. Hold on. So we can actually move out of that. It's still going to set it to red, but just in case there is nothing in this array list, we want to set it as red first then. And let's do head.x snake.head.x. See, there are different ways that you can do it. You can make it all in that for loop, because essentially you could actually make the head part of the list here, and you can always get the last added tail. But I decided to go around this route and see how it works. So yeah, here we go. We got the head going down like this, and hopefully we can properly add. Okay, so we want to take that out for now, and as you can see, that is getting longer. Okay, cool. So what we want to do is for int I equals 0, I is under tail length I plus plus snake parts dot remove I. So what this is doing is we're making another for loop, which is going like this one here, but instead these are two different types of for loops. This one's iterating through an array, and this one's iterating until this boolean is complete. So the way this one works is that we have to define what we're modifying here, or we can define anything here, and then we want to have a boolean here, and then we want to have the every time it goes through, this is the operation what occurs. So usually you'll see something like this. Even then, it'll usually always be the letter I in most cases. However, you can use whatever you want for that variable name, of course. So yeah, let's try this out. Let's try tail length equals 10, and we'll see how this looks. Alright, so let's see. We might want to do this somewhere. No, we'll try it here. Okay, so what's our error? Okay, so that means there is not enough here. Okay, so that means we're going to have to add this, or we're going to have to add this before or after that. Let's try before. And what I want to do is right here we're going to add another for loop. It's going to be the same for loop actually, but we're putting this in our constructor so that every time it starts, we're adding the point right at the point of the tail. So yeah, let's check this out. We got another one. Index 5. Okay. So something is not. Okay. So because the timer already started, it might not have added everything. So we're gonna try this out first, and this is probably gonna be the same error. All right. So where's this being called? So it is still from there. So I is under tail length. It should have added it properly. but maybe if we add that there. Alright, so in our console, let's close out everything by pressing this terminate red box right there. So index size 6, index 6 size 5. So why is it only 5? Did I set it to 5? I set it to 10. Okay. So we're gonna have to find a way to work around this. Let me actually try something real fast though. Let's take this out right here. So we do have this. And I do want to add something just to test. And then we're gonna have to implement. We're gonna have to implement something here. Okay, because we already implemented something, we just have to put a comma. Sorry, I'm still waking up. And we're gonna implement a key listener. And this is gonna make us have to add some unimplemented methods. And what we want to use is we want to use this key press method here. And right here, we're going to do if e dot, or actually, we can make it easier and do if in I equals e dot get ID or get key code in this case, and then if I equals key event dot vk. So this is going back to the static usage, and this is most likely final as well because you see the underscores and the capitals when you usually use final. That's just the way that they're formatted. You kind of get a visual representation, like even here over in the outline you can see that this is static and that it's public. If it's protected, it'll be a star. So if I do that, now these two are protected. And then if it's private, it'll be the red box, because private means only this class can access it no matter what, unless you use reflection, but we're not going to be getting into that. And protected means only anything in this package, so yeah. And then public means anything within an instance can get it, and then public static means anything at all can get it. So yeah, I probably should have declared that at the beginning of the video, but who knows, doesn't really matter. Alright, so now we want to set the direction. So direction equals left. For that should not be complaining anymore. Yeah. D should be right. W should be up. And then S should be down. Now, for things like this, we should probably change it. Well, we should probably have a check to make sure that the direction is not equal to, in this case, we should do up, because that means you could turn it on yourself, and we don't want the player accidentally doing that. So this would be down, this would be left, this would be right. So there we go. By the way, Control-Shift-F is what does all the indenting. I don't think I said that before. So yeah, so now we should be able to move it. Just, oh, you know what? I see why. This is something I always forget as well. We need to do JFrame dot add key listener, this. So we're saying that we're adding this instance as a key listener. So now it should work. And now we got a little snake going all around. And let's make this faster, yeah? So yeah, that looks pretty nice. And of course, in Snake, if I did run into myself or like that, I should die. And that should make it stop. So I might want to do negative scale here, so it actually touches the edge. So yeah, let's try that first. Okay, so now it didn't actually stop. What did I do wrong here? Oh, that's for the Y. My bad. That could be the same actually. So it's probably, yep. Where is the X one then? Oh, so X is there. So if X minus 1, oh, it's not equal to greater than -1. So let's just do greater or equal to. And then that should work. Yeah. Alright, cool. So I want to also add it to where if I equals key event dot bk space, I want to do snake equals new snake, and I'll do over. So that's to say, if it is over, press space and have it restart. To actually make a okay. So let me do this then. That's kind of funny. So let's move all this stuff into here. And then we will do start game. Alright, so that should work better. Oh yeah, okay, so we actually need to make sure that this does over equals false. And then we also want to set everything back to 0. And what else do we have here? And that should be good. Yep. Except that it doesn't clear the list, it seems, which is pretty simple. We can just do snake parts equals new, or we can just do snake parts that clear. Yeah, okay. So that is that. We can set it to where it spawns at a negative scale, or -1, just so that it looks like it takes that tile. Okay. It's actually not letting me do anything right now. I don't know why. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so that looks better. And then we can also have paused terminate, paused equals false, and then it's not paused. We can actually take this is not equal to true out and just do is not paused. And down here we can do else paused equals not paused. So there we go. That's saying if it is over, start the game, else just toggle paused. So that means by pressing pause or the space bar, it pauses it. Alright, so now let's actually try this. So how are you gonna work now that we actually have a bunch? It's not gonna be too friendly, huh? Alright, so let me put this on my other monitor. I'm just gonna look at it, and we're gonna figure out how this will work. So let me think of a way to do it. I haven't done this for a long time, so this will be removing the last part. Okay, so let me do maybe that. We're actually going to restart then. What if I do snake parse that remove 0? So it's actually not doing what it did before. Is that because of you? We also do need to make it to where if it turns in on itself. Well, we can do that in a second. Let's see how fast I can make this go. Yeah, that gets fast. Alright. Look at my beautiful design I just made. So let me actually think about this for a second. Okay, so come to think about it, I see exactly what I did wrong. So I'm trying to remove each one. All I actually have to do is if tails or snake parts dot size is let's say if you shush, just shush. If snake parts dot size is less than tail length, remove the last tail. Remove 0. And let's put you right before that, maybe. We'll see how that works, so that we move the head before everything else. So was that it, or was it the other way around? So there we go. Now we got one little head because the tail length is 0 there. So if we make it 5, that means it should be like 5 long. There we are. So, it kind of took me a second to figure out. I just looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. Look at that. That's cheap. We can actually make it to where you can't resize it by doing JFrame. Set resizable false. Okay. So now we can actually add the cherry to a random part of the map by making it actually random. 1 second though. I need to go do a few things. Alright, sorry about that. So we actually never put this random guy to use because apparently I was like, maybe we can do the thing, but I'm just not going to end up doing it. So let's actually properly set the random int. So within random there is a method called int or an xint, and then we can put in the kind of the max value it can have. If you just did random.nextInt without the integer, it'd do, I'm pretty sure it's 2 to the 32nd power, which is kind of like the highest integer you can go on to a computer. And yeah, so try not to do that, or else things will not work properly. Alright, so let's close out the console. And now we can properly render the cherry. So let's change the color of the snake. Let's make the snake maybe I don't know why it's not letting me do control space here. Plus, alright, let me do this. Now let's try it. G.set color dot. Alright, whatever. We're just gonna do blue for now. And right after that, we're going to do color.red. And then right after that, we're going to do snake.cherry. And snake.cherry. And after that, we need to make it to where if the player collides with the cherry, the point is set then again. So yeah, let's go ahead and copy and paste this and do that, because that's just saying it's gonna be there every single time, and this is making it random. So then we have a blue snake, and we got no cherry on the screen, so let's make sure that the cherry does actually generate. So cherry equals new point. So I should say hi. Oh, here we go. We got a cherry right here. And that did not generate on the screen. So let me, maybe we should do minus scale, and then we should do 1 plus or minus 1. This is tricky on how we should do it. It did work though. It did work. Everything should work to plan there. Like if I do 1 for default tail, we got this. We got no cherry. Where's that cherry? Let's make sure that we do get a cherry on the screen at least once, because we have before. But it seems like it's not wanting to be on the screen. So let's do system.cherry.x plus cherry.y. This is printing out to the console, this guy right here. We want to see what the coordinates for the cherry is. So of course now it works. Let's even just put it in the action perform part. Alright, and now where is it? 134, 101. Alright, so now let's do this, but for the head, okay, so obviously it is a lot larger than we would like it to be, because the player can pretty much go off the screen for a while, I'm assuming. Yeah. Alright. So we need to know what's the max here. So it seems like 78. So let's try. Alright, well, so what's the bottom here? 66. And that's 78.5. So let me do right here. We should make the X like 110 or 810. Or should we do 8.5? Is that better? Yeah, it looks perfect. So we got 79 and 66. Alright. So let's do 70, where it says 66. This would be 79. Alright, so now let's try that. And we'll do it for the thing as well. So that stops it, so let's do 80 and 67. There we are. And then we're gonna do 67 and 80. I gotta do this up here too. Alright. So where is it now? Huh? Well, apparently it picked a spot that it didn't want to generate on. Alright, so let's try this again. Yay, now we got a cherry here. So I'm assuming what could have happened is it actually did generate, however, it's generated on one of the edges, so yeah, I want to make sure that we can get it to generate on the edge. Right now the collision on the player is not there yet, so we will add that. Oh no, we have lost. Alright, so we'll just keep at that then. And if we want to make the scale bigger, we can. But we're just gonna have to stick with this for now. And yeah, so that's pretty much Snake. Now all we have to do is just do else, and then here we need to do and is head, where is tail at, or no tail at head.x plus 1, and then head.y, and we're gonna get an error for a little bit, but let's just keep that error for now. And then -1 +1 -1. So yeah, let's just click no there, even though it's still gonna go to debug monitor, which I hate. But let's create the new method here, and this is gonna give us a private boolean by default, or if we just want to code it for ourselves, we just do public boolean, because this is our return type. No tail at int x int y, and we have to return false to begin with. So this is saying this is our, if this is returned, or if this is called, it's going to return false by default. However, what we want to do for snake parts, or for point snake parts, if point dot equals head, return true. So that means it will say, hey, this guy is true. And why did that just happen? Did I click off the screen like a Dumbo? Yeah, what the heck? Come on, bear. So that means the game is already over. What's the way that we could fix that so it doesn't do it like that? Let me remove this first then. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's better. And now if I try to collide with myself, probably need a few more pieces. It's kind of being very difficult to do this. Do 10. Huh. That should automatically print, and then collided. Come to think about it, where's the cherry? So this is saying that it is collided. So this has to be returned true. And this has to be after that. Already. Where's the thing on right now, though? $71. 1871. Oh, you know what? That's my fault. 79, 66. I mixed up the X and the Y's. There we are. That should be better. And now we need to make sure that this is working properly. So maybe we have to make sure that it's +2. Let's try this out for now. We'll see how this looks. I can see reasons why I could mess up, but for now, yeah, it's already giving me collided right at the bat. Alright. So, let me just go with this for now. Well, that's already saying that there is going to be one there. So let's just go back to that. Essentially, there should be nothing there. Alright. So what if we were to do this afterwards? How would that look? Still collides. What if we add no snake parts? Oh, that's you. That's your fault. That makes sense. And then we need to put you back here. Why are you colliding already? Let's just try that and see how this looks. We should get the single cube. Alright. So that is correct. However, that should work because it should be moving at every single tick. And it's looking for the one before it. I don't know what that was. Oh, I have a hard drive hooked up to my computer. No big deal. Let's see. Where are we looking at this for? n+1, n+1. Oh, okay. That makes sense. So this is saying that I am so dumb. I can't believe I did that. If get location, or if equals new point xy. That is my fault. I don't know why I thought that would work. There we are. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize. But this should definitely work now. Yep, there we go. And now, all we really have to do, just to make things look nice, is at the top, we want to have it say g.drawString. We want to do this last, though. And for some reason, it's not letting me autocomplete methods, so let me go ahead and do project clean and clean it up just so it doesn't fuss. Here, let me close out of you then. Stop dinging me, you jerk. Maybe if we unsuppress the warning. I don't know, probably not. But anyways, now it works. So let's suppress the warning again because I don't like you being there. And we want to do score, and then let's actually do this. String equals score plus snake dot score plus tail or length plus snake dot length, or what is it, tail length plus time plus snake dot text divided by 20. And now we're gonna do g.drawString string, or we want to do dim snake dot dim divided by 2 minus, or did not get width divided by 2 minus string dot length divided by 2. And then y we want to be like 10 maybe. Alright, and what are you fussing about? I can cast you to being an int, because a integer is only a whole number, but doubles are more an exact value, so that goes into the floats, or decimals, so like 1.0005, sure. And it wasn't wanting that, so I had to put that. Maybe it's too low. Or maybe this is just try 10. Alright, well, it isn't centered, so I guess that does make sense. Alright, so let me just do, let me undo that. And let me take out this. Like times 2. And we'll do plus like 10. See, this isn't really the most. I thought that'd work. Let's do this then. No, that'd definitely work. I thought this was like. Well, I don't know why I said that I thought, but this isn't gonna look like the best because of the fact that it's doing dot length isn't saying the string that's being rendered or with the font, so that's why I kind of have to try to make it look nice. So yeah, we'll go with that.
Alright, let me just do %2 equals 0. By default, it should be 0, right? How many ticks? Ticks equals 0. Alright. We'll do ticks divided by 2 divided by 20. But it still does tick, that's the thing. Let's do... We can do time plus. Now here we can have time snake.time divided by 2 because it's only being called every 2 seconds. So yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe that's a little bit too slow. 6, 7, 8. Alright, that looks good. So now we got a timer to say how long you've been going. We can always have it reset. So time equals 0. Alright. So let's look how many lines of code this is. Because this is practically done. So that's only 150 and 36. So that's about 186 lines of code just to make Snake. And that was pretty easy. I know you could always come across certain things like I've done. Half the time I was doing it as I was like super tired. So yeah, that's why I ended up having to go to sleep. It was like really late at night. It was about 2 a.m. So yeah, I apologize if I was a little broad on anything, but you can see that this does work. And if you wanted to like make it with like 2-player, you could always do that. And I think you guys should definitely make a video response of you doing this yourself and making it. And I would love to see that. I will put the recompiled version and the source in the description below. So if you do need help, if you do want to recompile it and use it for later, you can come up to here, up to File, do Export, do Java, jar file, and then you want to click on Snake because that's what we're going to be exporting. And let's do desktop, and let's just make it snake.jar, and then finish. And now on my desktop, I now have Snake. I can actually run it. Or did I didn't do executable. 1 second. We actually gotta delete this one. So let me redo that. Runnable jar file. That's what I have to do. My apologies. I want to do Snake, desktop, Snake. No wonder the menu looked different to me. And now we should be able to run it. There we are. So this should definitely work out well. You can tweak this however you want. You can make the map size a lot more small. And yeah, feel free to do whatever you want with this. However, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you have any ideas for me to make remake any kind of like classic game like this, I'll definitely leave that down in the description below, and I will get back to you on that one. So maybe I'll like do something like Pong. I've made Pong many times before, and yeah. So thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you've learned something from this.